Welcome back to the Smoky Mountains Podcast. I'm your host, Bob Speakman. This is episode 3. So excited to be here. This has been such a fun journey. The podcast is something I've been looking forward to and been wanting to do for quite some time. And to be here making these episodes, talking to folks from the Smoky Mountains is just an absolute delight. So if there's someone you want to see us interview, or if there's questions that you think we should be asking that I'm not asking, whatever it is, be sure to go down the comment section of wherever you're listening or watching this from. If it's on YouTube, go ahead and leave in the comments below. If the platform you're listening to your podcast from, go ahead and comment on that. Or you can email me, bob@allaboutthesmokies.com. I'd love to hear from you. And if we like your comment, maybe it's something that we're going to share on a future episode. So be sure to comment. Be sure to comment. And if you're listening on a podcast platform, please, by all means, if you like the podcast, I'd love for you to give it a 5-star rating. It really helps us out on placement for people to be able to find us when they're looking for a new podcast to listen to. We are aiming to be the best podcast in the Great Smoky Mountains. That's our goal. And you can help us get there. So be sure to leave a rating. It would mean a lot to us. So we have a special guest today. I'm excited to bring him on. Before we get started in that, I want to talk a little bit about dinner shows and various shows there in the Great Smoky Mountains. So we have gone to several, but I know there's even more that we've not been to. We'll be ranking our favorites at some point in the future, but here's what I'll say about most of them. You look at the price tag of a dinner show, and some of them are 60, 70, whatever the cost might be. I think it's very, very costly. If you've not done one of them, one thing I want you to keep in mind is you're getting a full meal delivered to your table for you to eat, and as well as a actual well-produced show. Everyone that I've been to, the Dolly Stampede, the Pirate Show, Hatfield-McCoy, dinner shows in the Smoky Mountains deliver immense value. The food is it's mass produced, so it's good. It's not going to be made to order because they have to make so much food. It's a they're big places where you're watching these from. But great meal and a great show. So I would recommend pretty much any of the ones that we've been to, like the ones I mentioned there. Comedy Barn's another one. It's not a dinner show. They don't serve dinners. The prices for them are a little bit cheaper if you're just wanting to see a show. That is a hoot. Recommend it as well to anyone who's looking for something entertaining. What my recommendation to you is, if you've been thinking about pulling the trigger on one of these shows, make sure that you're booking ahead of time. And we've got some great deals for you. So that brings me to our sponsor of this podcast, allaboutthesmokies.com. Your source for planning your Smoky Mountain vacation. If you head over there, you can actually find some discounted tickets where you can combine both. Some of the deals are like hotels with a show. Some are like multiple shows. But there are discounts to be had, and you can find those over at allaboutthesmokies.com. Be sure to check this out because you do not want to pay full price if you can save money and book ahead of time. So, and I found some of the booking that I've done through allaboutthesmokies.com. One of the shows was actually sold out, but there were still some seats available through the partner that All About the Smokies uses. So be sure to check it out. But in addition to getting discounts on things that you were already going to be doing anyway, you can plan your Smoky Mountain vacation there. News, information, reviews, all kinds of things there at allaboutthesmokies.com. You'll be finding myself and my cohort, Eric from Smoky Mountain Family. We'll be hosting you there. Plenty of information to help you plan your Smoky Mountain vacation. Allaboutthesmokies.com. So excited for our guest for episode 3. This top 5 list that he's bringing you is one of the most unique. it's one I would have never even thought of. I'm excited. If you're watching this on YouTube or you've looked at the title, you know what it is. So, without any further ado, here's today's guest. Well, I am absolutely thrilled to be joined by the infamous Tim Harkleroad. Tim, thank you so much for joining me on the Smoky Mountains Podcast. Thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to sit down with me and have a little chat. So can you introduce yourself to the audience here, what you do, a little bit of your history there in the Smoky Mountains?
Well, to start with, I want to thank you, for getting my last name right. That's
okay.
That's very rare.
Oh, good, good.
I am the mayor, and I'm the mayor at the Hatfield-McCoy Dinner Feud in Pigeon Forge. I actually wrote the original show with the former owner and wrote our first Christmas show. They're getting ready to do they changed our Christmas show. And then they're getting ready to change the regular show. Okay. But I can, for right now, say that I wrote the Hatfield-McCoy Feud with David Fee, and also my friend Stephen Knowles worked on it with us too. So, I right now I don't normally have a white beard and white hair, but the Christmas show I had a different part. I wasn't the mayor; I was actually Santa through Christmas. So that was actually a lot of fun, and I'm getting quite accustomed to the beard. I just don't know when my hair is going to grow back out. My hair is normally brown with some gray in it, so I really need to go ahead and shave the beard pretty soon. I'm into Bigfoot, HO scale model trains. As a matter of fact, I'm down in my train room right now in the basement. Was working on some locomotives before I go into work, and I play 5-string banjo. So I've been down here about 12 years. I'm originally from Bristol, Tennessee, the birthplace of country music.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question. So was it the show that brought you to the Smokies, or something different?
I spent 27 years with Carnival Cruise Lines as a stand-up comic and ventriloquist. And I was getting to a point I needed something different. My kids had grown up while I was working ships. I would be home like 2 days a week. And I would fly from ship to ship. I do 2, sometimes 3 ships a week. And I came down here, and David Fee and I are good friends since we were like teenagers. And he wanted me early on at the Comedy Barn, and I just couldn't do it then. So he said he wanted to change Black Bear Jamboree into the Hatfield-McCoy show. So hired me to come down and write it. My past with bluegrass music and comedy and that sort of thing, and we created an amazing show, I believe. It's done incredible numbers over the years. So that's how I got here.
Yeah, and my personal experience with the show, we've been coming to the Smokies for several years, and every time I'd come in town, I'd want to just book it last minute, and there was never a spot open. It was always pretty solidly booked, and we finally got to come right before the Christmas show started. We got to see the regular show. It was phenomenal. Everything from the music and the acting, the crowd participation. It was wonderful. Now,
don't forget our cloggers. We got national champion cloggers and musicians in the show. Well, thank you. Was I there that night?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. And
I'm off usually Thursdays and Fridays, and some people miss me sometimes.
Yeah. Wonderful show. And appreciate that you guys have been able to work faith into the show as a part of it. I saw a little bit in videos of the Christmas show as well. What part does that play for you in the writing of the show? What part does that play for you in the acting and in the different things? So
I think it's very important to me as a Christian, I'm not always one to witness to people. I try to be an example. I'm not always a great example, but as a Christian, I love having, especially the gospel music. Gospel music plays so much a part of Appalachian and Smoky Mountain living. I mean, we're in what was my friend called it? We're in the belt buckle of the Bible Belt.
Belt buckle, very good.
And but not just that. And people really appreciate it. It's amazing how many people will come up to me after the show and say, "We really appreciate y'all remembering Christ in our show, especially at Christmas time." So many Christmas shows are just about Santa and parties and this and that, and we have in the Christmas show Paul Hatfield. He does the scripture reading about the birth of Jesus, and then we have one of the girls sings "Oh Holy Night," and it's a beautiful moment, and we've had people tell us it's brought them to tears. So I think that's very important, not just from the show standpoint, just to make people feel good and let some of the people who are singing or part of the show profess a little bit of their beliefs.
Yeah, I think that's important too, and I think there's always been that connection between faith and the folks who visit the Smoky Mountains. I know for me, a lot of my friends from church and people that I associate with have made annual trips to the Smokies, or in some cases more than that. So I think being able to go and see your faith on display is a special thing for a lot of people, and for those that don't profess any faith or belief, I don't think you're hammering them over the head in a way that's making them feel uncomfortable.
It's not preachy at all. We do it in the regular season. We do gospel. We do 2 gospel numbers, and I think it's the perfect amount. It rounds out the show to me. We usually do these numbers toward the end, and honestly, we've never had a complaint out of any of that. So I think it's important to me that we do that.
Yeah, I agree. So being that you've been there for so long and living in a tourist town, is it difficult for you to really find a sense of community when most people you see on a daily basis, aren't local? Most people that are in your town, most people that you may be interacting with on a daily basis are on vacation. Mm-hmm. So for you, is it difficult to find a true sense of what your community is there in the Smokies?
Well, I live in Seymour, and I, of course, drive into work. Seymour is wonderful. I love Seymour. I have people around Seymour I have 4 or 5 people that work at the Food City, which seems like I'm at every day, that we always have a nice little conversation. So there are people around there, but also in Pigeon Forge, from where I worked at Carnival Cruise Lines, there's at least 5 or 6 people that I worked with at Carnival who have now moved to the area.
Oh, wow.
And I've got friends, and not just that, I've got friends. There have probably been, I don't know, maybe 100 people who have come in and out of the Hatfield show that I keep in touch with, most of them. People in the entertainment business. They might work at the Comedy Barn. Got friends at Comedy Barn, friends at Stampede. I don't know if I know anybody over at Pirates, but now I know a lot of people in town that I've met since I've been here, some before I came down here. And there's several of them. I walk in, they say, "Hey, Mayor." And they refer to me as Mayor, so that's kind of fun. I'm not the real mayor. I'm called mayor, but I don't have the mayor responsibility.
That's probably a good thing. That's probably
Pigeon
a good
Forge
thing.
would shut down if I was the mayor, most likely.
Well, so now, what do you like to do in your free time? I mean, as a local, and obviously, like you said, from Seymour, but coming into Pigeon Forge, do you take part in the tourist trap stuff? Do you take advantage of any of the local attractions, hiking? What do you do in your downtime?
Well, funny enough, like I said, I'm big into model trains. I'm building a HO scale layout in my basement. It's 11 by 18. Matter of fact, I'm sitting in my little notch where I run it from right now. I don't want to here. You want me to show you some of the trains on the layout?
Yeah, so the people on YouTube will be able to see.
Real quick.
And you can explain what you're seeing.
This is the yard where a lot of the locomotives and cars are parked right now.
Yeah.
The rest of it, and we haven't painted everything yet. And it's coming along. I've got a friend in Sevierville that comes up once a week, and he's a genius. He does all the wiring, make sure I don't electrocute myself and ruin expensive locomotives. He's a former architect from Chicago, moved down here several years back, and it has an amazing layout in his basement. And he's been helping me quite a bit. I also now I do. We go to Dollywood usually a couple of days a year, mainly to ride the train.
Yeah, it's a good train, though. It's a good train.
Oh man, those are beautiful trains, beautiful locomotives. I love those. I don't know if you've ever been to Tweetsea. They have similar, beautifully restored, and those trains over there, some are 100 or close to 100 years old, and they've been taken really good care of. That's one thing I love about Dollywood. They've hired wonderful people to operate their trains and keep them up, and they do a great job over there. But I'm also into Bigfoot. I go to the Bigfoot conferences they have around here. Matter of fact, years ago, I actually wanted to do one on my own, and I was told, there won't be enough people show up for something like that. And then you go to one of these things, and they're sold out, and there's thousands of people there. Tim Burchett and I were in the East Tennessee Bigfoot group around here. I'm the Sevier County representative. So I do a lot of Bigfoot stuff. It depends on the time of the year. I love going to the Christmas stores around Christmas, and but I don't do a whole lot of activities. Don't have a whole lot of time other than work and coming back and forth. I love the island, and I'm really looking forward to the project out on the interstate coming up soon.
Sure.
The next couple of years, it's going to be exciting. It's there's some things touristy that I do, and I love, especially during Christmas, I love seeing the lights.
Yeah.
So I enjoy Pigeon Forge. I worked in Myrtle Beach for several years, and it's very similar. You go to Publix or something, and 90% of the people there are tourists. You can tell because they got 60-pound bag of hot dogs and 12 packs of buns, and you can tell they're going to be avoiding some of the big dollar restaurants in town. But I enjoy living down here.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you mentioned trains and your interest in those. So, have you been to the one in Bryson City?
Yes, I have. My wife and I lost you for a second there. I don't know if you'd asked me.
It
That's
cut out.
okay.
There for a second.
My wife and I have ridden the Great Smoky Mountain 4 times, I think. My favorite's the Dillsboro side. Takes you over to Dillsboro, lets you off, and it's a little tiny town that got some shops, and I love cute little towns like that. So yeah, that's a great train. There's also a wonderful excursion train over in Knoxville, the Three Rivers Rambler, and it is, matter of fact, you can see my Southern Railroad hat. It is the oldest operating steam locomotive, oldest operating Southern Railway steam locomotive in existence.
Okay.
It's over 100 years old, I think so. It's a 280 wheel configuration, beautiful steam locomotive, and yeah, I love the steam trains. It was really before we got our house in Seymour. I had moved down here to work on the show with David, and I was living in Sevierville. And at night, I could sit out on my porch, and I could hear the Dollywood train, the whistle blow, and that was such awesome. A cool thing to have happen. It was wonderful.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you being on. And one of the things that we do when we bring a guest on the podcast is we ask them to give us their top 5. And you've prepared one that I absolutely love. It's one that will not be stolen because it's completely unique, but I absolutely love it. So Tim, what is your top 5 list about?
My top 5 list is my favorite gas station foods. Now, I don't mean foods in an average gas station. I mean gas stations in the area. I've got 2 in Seymour. All the others are in Pigeon Forge or Sevierville. They're gas stations that serve something unique, and I go back time and time again for those.
Okay. So do you have them in any particular order, or you just?
I can give you my favorite to start off with, and it's one a lot of people in town know, locals know. I doubt many tourists know unless they're reading TripAdvisor or find it on Facebook or something. Mm-hmm. But Frank Allen's. Are you familiar with Frank Allen's?
Yeah.
I love Frank Allen's. They got the best cheeseburgers anywhere. Now, right now, I'm back on my low carb, so I have to go the hamburger steak. But everything there is great, and thing I like about it, I love about it, it's like the old lunch encounters that we used to go to when I was a kid. Growing up in Bristol, my mom didn't work. She was a stay-at-home mom, and she loved to go downtown Bristol, and it wasn't too far. We'd drive to downtown, and we'd hit the same stores all the time. I'd look at the same stuff all the time, and we'd eat 2 meals there if we could. It's funny. We'd go to Bunnings drugstore and have hot dogs. They had the best hot dogs anywhere. And then we would go over sometimes to my Uncle Audrey. Her brother had a restaurant downtown in Bristol called the Country Kitchen, and he had just amazing, great home cooking. So we'd always try to go over there. So this Frank Allen's reminds me of those little lunch encounters that I would go to as a kid, and I love that.
Yeah.
I actually had one when I worked in Myrtle Beach. There's a store most people will be familiar with called the Gay Dolphin. There's a huge gift shop. It's 6 stories tall or some crazy like that. And they had a little lunch encounter in there. When I worked there, I was just 2 doors down in a magic shop I worked at. And I would go over there, and the lady got to know me that worked there, and they had just great food. So I love little counters like that. So Frank Allen's is there on the Parkway. It's a Marathon store, I believe.
Okay. And we can include in the show notes and things the address for each of these too. So we'll make sure that we get
that's at my top.
Okay.
Now my close second, and I'm going to see if I can pronounce this right. I don't know if it's taqueria or taqueria, La Gasolino. Gasolina.
I've seen that pop up in searches. I've never been. I've seen that pop up.
Basically, it means tacos at gasoline. It's a gas station out on Wares Valley Road. It is a Shell station. It's across from the park. Once you first get on Wares Valley Road, before you get to the Family Dollar on the left, this is on the right. And they have not, when I worked at Carnival Cruise Lines, I would say 60% of the time I was in Mexico. I probably, and I'm not saying this to brag, I've been to Cozumel over 1,000 times. Wow. It just works out mathematically. 27 years, you go in every week. You get the idea. So, the taco, well, not just the tacos, everything at this place is authentic. It is, we used to say on the ship, if you want to find good food, follow the crew. Because the crew would go past the tourist areas, like in Cozumel, off that main drag right along the ocean. They go back into the town where the locals live and shop. That's where the best restaurants are.
Yeah.
And you can tell this place because every time you go in there, it is full of pretty much exclusively Mexican people. So if they're thinking it's good, it's got it is wonderful. And the tacos are very authentic. I'll tell you my favorite taco. It might freak a couple of people out. I love pork rinds, and they make a taco de chicharrones, which is the pork rind. It's not crispy. It is grilled and soft, and they serve it with onions and cilantro and a little bit of that salsa verde. Man, alive, bring your tongue really to its knees.
Yeah, no, that sounds excellent. Okay.
That's my second one. Now, there is a fast stop out on Pittman Road. It's out on the corner of Pittman and JL Road. You go out there a little ways, and where JL Road intersects, there's a gas station there, and they serve crispy, crunchy chicken. You ever had crispy, crunchy?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, that's crispy, crunchy with a K.
Okay, no, definitely not.
They're not concerned with spelling. If you speak it into your phone, you're going to have to correct it.
Yeah.
No, it's great chicken. Oh man, it's crispy, obviously, by the title. A friend of mine said, "You want the best fried chicken around?" I said, "Yeah." And we've had the wonderful fried chicken at the theater for years.
Yeah.
We went out there, and it's just amazing. And they have sides, and they've got it's a big part of that market. Okay. And their biscuits, they got these little drop biscuits that are glazed with honey and butter. And, man,
that sounds amazing. So that's 3 now. Or you said you had 2 more that were in
Seymour, and then I have a possible runner-up.
Okay.
That everyone might know. Now, in Seymour, between Seymour and South Knoxville, there is an in and out market and grocery and gas station. Now, they also serve crispy, crunchy chicken, but they also fix. Do you know what boudin is?
Mm-mm.
All right, boudin is a Cajun. I worked out in New Orleans for 12, 13 years. Used to date a Cajun girl back before I got married. And I always like to put that in there, back before I got married. Boudin is a sausage made of rice, pork liver, and spices. And it's all ground up, and it's put into a casing. And you can get it anywhere in Louisiana. Here, you can only get it at grocery stores and Walmart, places like that. Take it home and fry it up. It's great. But they make boudin balls. What they do, they take the boudin and shape it into balls and roll it in breadcrumbs or something and deep fry it. I go there and I order these boudin balls, and I mix up a little mayo and mustard and hot sauce. and boy, I can make a meal off of those. I love boudin. I could just about eat it every day.
I'll have to look that up. I can't say I've even ever heard of it. Is it something I could probably pick up at a local grocery store just about anywhere you are?
Crispy Crunchy might carry it. I don't know for sure. The third one I mentioned.
Yeah. Okay.
Now I've got another one in Seymour, which on my new low carb diet I'm going to have to avoid for a while, called Buc-ee Good Donuts.
Okay.
I'm not crazy about the title, but they have, I think, about the best donuts I've found.
Oh wow.
They're a little bit smaller than Dunkin', and not quite as light and fluffy as the yeast donuts at Krispy Kreme.
Okay.
But for your standard cake donuts, they've got a red velvet cake. They usually do a pumpkin spice around the holidays. They also had a spiced cider. But they got chocolate. They got it's amazing. But the best thing there is the apple fritter. And it's massive. It's like this big around. It's wonderful. It got chunks of apple in it. It's got this amazing glaze on it, and it's nice and brown and crispy, and cinnamon. And
it sounds amazing.
It is.
I love the seasonal stuff. I'm a big pumpkin spice person. Red velvet's probably my main go-to. I'm trying to avoid all that stuff now, and I just ate lunch. Prior to starting, and I'm hungry again. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, there's a family, I believe they're Indonesian, that run it, and they're the sweetest, nicest, most accommodating people. And my friend Paula, years ago, started talking to this lady at Food City. She worked at Food City, Paula, and every time I go in there, it seemed like she's always working there. If I go in, we'd stand and talk. And now I didn't see her for years. And one day I go in Buc-ee Good Donuts, and there's Paula. So she's a wonderful lady. Everybody there is very friendly, and man, them donuts, you just can't beat them.
So that completes your top 5. But you mentioned a honorable mention, so to speak,
a runner-up.
Yeah.
Well, it's one that a lot of people have stopped there, and I've only been there once and had it. But I tell you what, I've never been a huge fan of brisket. When I worked a lot in Texas, that's all they talked about was brisket. And some of the places I had it, it was just dry as shoe leather. But Tell you what, Buc-ee's, they got that brisket. Oh, listen, that brisket is tender. It is moist. It is tasty, flavorful. You can get it on a sandwich. You can buy it by the pound, and I'm tempted to go down and see what a whole brisket would cost me, because I could probably do with it. It's that good.
Yeah, that Buc-ee's. I mean, it for anyone who's not been to one, which it's harder and harder to find someone who's not been in a Buc-ee's, but it certainly changes the entire gas station experience as far as what you've come to expect for a convenience store, for a quick stop. I mean, and the size of it, they're still not. I mean, you still can get in and out quickly, considering how many people that they're serving. So,
it was my first Buc-ee's when I went to this one out here. So it wasn't quite what I was envisioning. It's funny. Do you remember Stuckey's?
Huh? I don't think so.
There was a chain across the United States, or maybe just through the South and Southeast or whatever, called Stuckey's, and it was they had gas, but it wasn't really a convenience store. It was more like a gift shop. And you go in. That's how I got started in magic, doing magic tricks, because we would go on a trip, and they had racks of easy to do magic tricks. And we'd always stop at Stuckey's to get gas, and they had interesting drinks. Like they always had some sort of cherry aid. They had a luncheon counter in the back, so you could get cherry mango or guava juice, or they had different flavors. That's what I loved about it. It's different. But they had also their own line of candies and confections. They had pecan rolls. They had divinity. They had peanut brittle. They probably had about 10 different items that they made themselves that they sold there. And I always loved stopping at Stuckey's. We'd get hot dog or hamburger or something while we was on the road. It's one of those long road trip deals. And I got thinking, Stuckey's, Buc-ee's, and the Buc-ee's actually looks like a giant Stuckey's. And I wonder if there's any connection. I haven't looked that up.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely could. I don't know where Stuckey's started out of, but I know Buc-ee's originated in Texas, so I don't know if they took some inspiration or what, but definitely if there's some similarities there, it's probably not coincidence. But
there might still be one around Greenville.
Okay.
I don't know. I'll have to look that up. Maybe your viewers can look that up.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I bet a lot of your viewers, if they're closer to my age, which I'm 64, probably a lot of them remember Stuckey's because they were everywhere,
especially on road trips.
Yeah,
maybe that was the Buc-ee's of your time
day,
too.
Yeah,
so.
The interstate confections.
Well, I want to thank you for the top 5 list, and for those that are out there listening to the podcast or watching this on YouTube, and you have a place that's similar to this that maybe Tim didn't mention, and you'd like to comment it down below, we'd love to hear from you. Or you can always email me, bob@allaboutthesmokies.com, and maybe your comment or suggestion will end up on a future podcast. But Tim, thank you again. Go ahead.
Just going to say, if they want to see the progress on my model train layout, if they're on Facebook, it is Appalachian and Blue Ridge Railroad. And is an ampersand. So it's Appalachian & Blue Ridge Railroad on Facebook. And I post videos and updates. I got surprised. I posted a reel the other day, or a short. I don't remember which reels and shorts, them or YouTube. But I posted one the other day, and I'll get usually about, I don't know, anywhere between 800 or 1,200 views. I posted a video. I got 18,000 views the other day. It almost scared me. So check out my. I appreciate new visitors and get in there and like and put us a big heart on there. The heart actually, I think it helps your numbers better. So, but yeah, come check us out. It's a HO scale model railroad. I model Southern Railway with Granddaddy, my great granddaddy, my great uncle. All worked for Southern. I also do Clinchfield and Norfolk and Western, all railroads of the South. So come check us out. Excellent.
Well, and also they can find you at your the Hatfield and McCoys. You said you're there usually Thursdays.
I'm off Thursday and Friday.
Off Thursday and Friday. So if you go to the show, be sure to stop by and say hey if you get a chance to do that, or at least come by and see the show. Excellent show. You guys have done a great job there.
Thank you. If they see this video and are at the show, tell one of the servers come find me, and I'll come out the house and say, hey, I'd love to meet some of the people.
Absolutely. Appreciate that. All right. Well, thank you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, bud. We've got one show today, and so that's a good day.
Good day. That was a good time. Absolutely love talking to Tim. If you are going to Hatfield and McCoys, and you want to see him, he said, but make sure to let one of the servers know that you heard him on the podcast, the Smoky Mountain Podcast, or you watch us on YouTube, on Smokies Plus, whatever it is. Make sure you mention that to your server. He'll want to come out and try to say, hey, if he's working that day. So Tim Harkleroad, stand-up guy, genuine, down-to-earth dude. Like, talking to him, I felt like I've known him for years, but he's approachable. He's just wanting to live his own life. The model train stuff is amazing. Be sure to check out the links that he mentioned if you're into that kind of thing. I checked out his Facebook page, and they post over there pretty regularly. So be sure to check that out. But thank you guys so much. Again, if you want to leave a comment below, you might be featured on a future episode of the Smoky Mountains Podcast. But that'll do it. This has been another podcast from the great Smoky Mountains. We hope you have a great day. God bless.